I'm going to guide us through an EFT tapping sequence that you can use if you have a fear of needles. If you haven't heard of EFT tapping before, essentially we're just going to stimulate some acupressure points by tapping on them with our fingers. And when you tap, you want to apply a gentle pressure, kind of like if you're drumming on a desk. So you want to make sure that you can actually feel that pressure on those points, but not so much that it's going to hurt you ever. All right, so I'll just walk through those points and show you kind of where you're aiming for when we go through our sequence. The first one that we'll take a look at is the karate chop or side of the hand point, and it's right on the side of our hand on that fleshy part, essentially where you would make contact with the board if you're going to karate chop and break it. So you can tap on that with the fingers of the opposite hand, or some people like to tap both hands together at that point. Either way is fine. Tapping is super forgiving, so you can go ahead and do it whatever way feels best for you. Then from there, we'll go to the top of the head point. So if you're a little marionette puppet and you've got a string attaching the top of your head up to the ceiling, it's going to be right in the center of your head, and that's where you're aiming for with this tapping point. And again, you can tap it with one hand or both hands, whatever you like. The next tapping point we'll look at is the eyebrow point. So you've got one on each eyebrow, just at that inner edge of it. And again, you can tap with both hands or just one. Either way is fine. Next, we'll go to the side of the eye point. So find the lateral canthus of your eye, then go laterally until you're on the orbital rim, so right on that bone. And again, you can tap with both hands or just one. Now we'll go to under the eye point. So this is going to be on the orbital rim again, but it will be directly under our pupils if we're looking straight ahead. And that corresponds to our infraorbital notch as well. So you might feel that if you're up on your anatomy. And again, you can do both sides or just one. Now we'll go to the under the nose point, and this is going to be on the midline, so there's only one of them, and it's right on that philtrum between the nose and the upper lip. From there, we'll go to what I call under the lips, or you might see it called the chin point as well. And it's not actually on the chin though, it's in that mentolabial sulcus in between the lower lip and the chin. And then we'll go to the collarbone point next. There's two of them, one on each side. So if you find the inner corners of your collarbone, go down and out about an inch, and then there's a point on either side there. And some people like to tap it this way. I prefer to just do my whole hand right over the collarbone point area, and that way I'm getting a nice wide area and I'm sure to get it. And our last tapping point that we'll review is called the under the arm point. So if you find the bottom of your armpit and then go down about 3 or 4 inches, you should feel a quarter-sized little indentation that's sore or tender to the touch, and that's where we're aiming for. I like to tap that with my whole hand again. That way I'm getting a nice wide area. Some people find it easier to tap on the same side of the body, or you might like the self-hug or the monkey. All right, so those are our tapping points. When we go through the sequence, essentially I will be guiding you through some different stressors associated with needles and getting a needle. And what I'm doing is trying to essentially do a little bit of desensitization for you, where you'll think about or focus on different feelings and sensations that are associated with those stressors. And at the same time, we're going to be stimulating those acupressure points, and that will send some calming signals to our brains and tell us that we're safe. So what we've got going on there is a little bit of deactivation of that fight, flight, or freeze response. And then through doing that, you can actually see that same stressor or be exposed to that same stressor again, and then have much lower fight, flight, or freeze response coming through, and effectively kind of diminish your fear of that. So pretty awesome and empowering stuff. Like I mentioned before, you can't really mess it up or do it wrong. It's a very forgiving technique. If you're anywhere close to the points, you'll still get some stimulation of those. So what I'd like you to do first is just think about a needle and notice what goes on in your body when you think about a needle. You might feel almost like a fluttery feeling in your chest. You might feel jittery, like motion, like butterflies in the stomach, or maybe some tension in the shoulders. Just see what's there for you. And then I'd also like you to try and assign a number to that on a 0 to 10 scale. So your 0 is going to be totally neutral, it's not really affecting you at all. And then 10 would be it's about as intense as you can possibly imagine. So pick somewhere in that range to give your intensity of what you're feeling when you think about a needle. And then we'll start tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I'm afraid of needles, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Even though I'm really afraid of needles, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Even though I feel afraid when I think of a needle, I'm open to loving and accepting myself anyways. Okay, we'll go to the top of the head. I'm afraid of needles. Tap on the eyebrow. I feel afraid when I just think of a needle. Tap on the side of the eye. Feel afraid thinking of needles. Tap under the eye. I feel afraid when I think of needles. Tap under the nose. I'm afraid of needles. Tap under the lips. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap on the collarbone. I'm so afraid of needles. Tap under the arm. Just thinking of needles makes me afraid. Tap on the top of the head. I feel afraid thinking of needles. Tap on the eyebrow. I don't even have to see a needle to feel afraid. Tap on the side of the eye. Just thinking of a needle, I feel afraid. Tap under the eye. I'm afraid of needles. Tap under the nose. I'm really afraid just thinking of needles. Tap under the lips. I don't even have to actually see one. Tap on the collarbone. I just have to think about a needle to be afraid. Tap under the arm, and I feel it in my body. Tap on the top of the head. I'm afraid when I think of needles. Tap on the eyebrow. I feel afraid. Tap on the side of the eye. When I think of a needle, I feel afraid. Tap under the eye. I don't want to have to see one, that's for sure, if I'm afraid just thinking about it. Tap under the nose. I'm afraid thinking of needles. Tap under the lips. I feel afraid thinking of needles. Tap on the collarbone. I don't even have to see it to feel afraid. Tap under the arm. I feel afraid just thinking of it. Tap on the top of the head. Just thinking about a needle, I feel afraid. Tap on the eyebrow. I feel afraid. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm afraid of needles. Tap under the eye. Feel afraid just thinking of needles. Tap under the nose. I feel afraid. Tap under the lips. I'm afraid of needles. Tap on the collarbone. And just thinking of needles, I'm afraid. Tap under the arm. I don't even have to actually see one for real. All right, and at this point, if you're still feeling kind of afraid just thinking of needles and it's still at maybe a 4 or higher, then you can keep tapping a little more on that same part of our sequence. But if you're starting to feel a little bit more like, okay, I'm all right with just thinking about it, maybe I could actually stand to look at it now, then I've got another part coming up. So I've got an actual syringe and needle that we can look at while we're doing some tapping here. So top of the head, I'm afraid just looking at this needle and thinking about it. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm afraid of needles. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap under the eye. I'm afraid of needles. Tap under the nose. Just looking at this needle makes me afraid. Tap under the lips. I don't even have to think about what it's actually going to do. Tap on the collarbone. I'm afraid just looking at it. Tap under the arm. Just looking at this needle makes me really afraid. Tap on the top of the head. I'm afraid of needles. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm afraid of needles. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm afraid of needles. Tap under the eye. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap under the nose. Just looking at this needle is making me afraid. Tap under the lips. I don't even have to think about what's going to happen with this needle for me to feel afraid. Tap on the collarbone. I already feel afraid just looking at it and thinking about it. Tap under the arm. I feel afraid just looking at this needle. Tap on the top of the head. I'm afraid just looking at this needle. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm afraid of this needle. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap under the eye. I don't even have to think about what's actually going to happen with this needle. Tap under the nose, and maybe I kind of don't want to. Tap under the lips, because I'm really afraid of needles. Tap on the collarbone. I'm afraid just looking at this needle. Tap under the arm. I'm afraid of the way a needle looks. Tap on the top of the head. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm afraid of needles. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm so afraid of needles. Tap under the eye. I'm afraid of needles, and just looking at this needle makes me afraid. Tap under the nose. I definitely don't want to think about what's going to happen with that needle. Tap under the lips. I don't even want to go there. Tap on the collarbone. I'm afraid of needles. Tap under the arm. And just looking at this needle is making me really afraid. All right, so at this point, if you're still feeling like about a 4 or higher on looking at the needle and the sight of it, then you can tap through this part of our sequence again a little bit more. But if you're feeling pretty okay with seeing the needle and you want to go a little bit deeper into those fears of needles, then we can keep on going. All right, so go back to the top of the head. I'm afraid of needles. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap on the side of the eye. I don't like what the needle is going to do to me. Tap under the eye. It might cause me some kind of pain or hurt. Tap under the nose. It might cause me some harm. Tap under the lips. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap on the collarbone. And I don't know if I trust the person that's going to give me the needle. Tap under the arm. I'm afraid to trust the person that's going to give me the needle. Tap on the top of the head. And I'm afraid of needles too. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm afraid of the pain or whatever harm it might cause me. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm afraid of needles. Tap under the eye. I'm really afraid of needles. Tap under the nose. And I'm afraid to trust the person giving me the needle. Tap under the lips. And I'm afraid of how it's going to end up hurting me. Tap on the collarbone. I'm afraid it might cause me some pain or harm. Tap under the arm. And I don't know if I can trust the person who's going to give me the needle. Tap on the top of the head. I don't want to think about what's going to happen with that needle in my mouth. Tap on the eyebrow. I don't know if I can trust the person giving me the needle. Tap on the side of the eye. I just feel like I don't have any control over my situation. Tap under the eye. I feel kind of powerless and helpless. Tap under the nose. And I don't know if I can trust the person who's going to give me the needle. Tap under the lips. I don't know if I can trust this person. Tap on the collarbone. I'm afraid of how this might hurt or harm me in some way. Tap under the arm. And I won't have any control over how this pain is going to happen. Tap on the top of the head. I don't know if I can trust this other person to give me this needle. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm afraid of the pain or how it might harm me. Tap on the side of the eye. And I don't know if I can trust a person to give me this needle. Tap under the eye. I'm afraid of not having any control over my situation. Tap under the nose. I'm afraid because I'm not going to have any control. Tap under the lips. And I have to trust this person. Tap on the collarbone. And I don't know if I can trust this person to give me this needle. Tap under the arm. I'm afraid they might hurt or harm me in some way and that I might feel some pain. Tap on the top of the head. And I'm not going to have any control over my situation. Tap on the eyebrow. And I don't know if I can trust this person to give me this needle. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm afraid of this needle. Tap under the eye. And I'm afraid of how it might end up hurting or harming me. Tap under the nose. I'm afraid because I won't have any control over my situation. Tap under the lips. I don't know if I can trust this person to give me this needle. Tap on the collarbone. It might end up hurting me or causing me some pain in some way. Tap under the arm. And I'm a little bit afraid of how I might react to that pain and how the other person might react too. Tap on the top of the head. I'm afraid that I'm not tough enough to take whatever pain this might cause. Tap on the eyebrow. Maybe I'm afraid of crying or reacting in some bad way that I'm not supposed to. Tap on the side of the eye. I might be afraid of looking a little bit silly or like I'm a baby. Tap under the eye. I'm afraid of how I might react to having this needle. Tap under the nose. I'm not going to have any control over my situation, and I'm afraid how I'm going to react. Tap under the lips. I'm afraid how I'm going to react. Tap on the collarbone. I'm afraid of the pain and how I'll react to the pain. Tap under the arm. I'm really afraid of how I might end up reacting to the pain, that I'm not tough enough or good enough in some way. Tap on the top of the head. I'm worried I'll feel judged too. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm a little bit worried about the person's reaction to how I'll react to the pain. Tap on the side of the eye. I'm going to feel judged. Tap under the eye. Who knows what might happen when I react to getting the needle. Tap under the nose. You know, I might end up reacting badly, like maybe I'll cry or do something that's not tough enough. Tap under the lips. And maybe the person giving me the needle will say that I'm not tough enough or judge me in some way, call me a baby. Tap on the collarbone. Maybe they'll say I'm not good enough in some way. Tap under the arm. I'm afraid of being judged. Tap on the top of the head. I'm afraid of being judged by the person who's giving me the needle. Tap on the eyebrow. I'm afraid of how I'll react to having the needle and any pain or harm. Tap on the side of the eye. And I'm also afraid of how the person that's giving me the needle will react to me reacting to the needle. Tap under the eye. No, that's a mouthful and brainful to think about. Tap under the nose. I'm afraid of how I'm going to react to this needle and any pain it might cause. Tap under the lips. And I'm also afraid of how the person giving me the needle might judge me or react to my reaction. Tap on the collarbone. I don't know if I can trust this person. Tap under the arm. It's an awful lot of trust I have to put in them. Tap on the top of the head. And I don't know if I can trust them. Tap on the eyebrow. And I feel so powerless and helpless and like I have no control over this situation. Tap on the side of the eye. And I'm really afraid of having this needle. Tap under the eye. I'm afraid of having this needle. Tap under the nose. I'm really afraid of having this needle. Tap under the lips. I'm afraid of how the person that's going to give me the needle is going to react to how I react. Tap on the collarbone. I'm worried that I'm not tough enough and that maybe I'll end up being judged. Tap under the arm. I'm afraid that I'm not good enough in some way and I'll get judged for my reaction to the needle. Tap on the top of the head. And I'm afraid because I don't know if I can trust the person who's giving me the needle. Tap on the eyebrow. I don't know if I can trust them. Tap on the side of the eye. And I don't have any control over this situation. Tap under the eye. And I feel so vulnerable and powerless and helpless. Tap under the nose. I don't know if I can trust this person. Tap under the lips. I don't know if I can trust them. Tap on the collarbone. I'd like to be open to some other possibilities though. Tap under the arm. Like, what if I could trust them? And what if I didn't have to be afraid of this needle or anything associated with it? Tap on the top of the head. That would be new and different and kind of cool. Tap on the eyebrow, but I don't think that's very possible. Tap on the side of the eye. Sounds like kind of a pipe dream to me. Tap under the eye. But I'd kind of like to be open to that possibility. Tap under the nose. What if I didn't have to be afraid of getting this needle? Tap under the lips. That could be kind of new and different and cool. Tap on the collarbone. Doesn't seem that possible though. Tap under the arm. But it'd be pretty amazing if it was possible. Tap on the top of the head. What if I didn't have to be afraid of getting this needle? Tap on the eyebrow. I don't know if I can even imagine that. Tap on the side of the eye. I mean, it might be possible for other people. Tap under the eye. It seems like some people aren't afraid to get needles. Tap under the nose. But I don't know if that's possible for me. I mean, maybe for them, but not me. Tap under the lips. Or maybe it's possible for me too. Tap on the collarbone. I'd like to be open to that possibility, even if it sounds a little far-fetched. Tap under the arm. And whether that's possible or not, either way I'd like to be okay and just accept myself as I am. All right. So we'll just take a nice deep breath. And just check in again. Think of a needle again, just like we did at the beginning of this sequence. And then notice what's going on in your body now. Do you feel the same sensations or are they different? And if you're feeling the same sensations, are they stronger or less strong, or are they the same? Check in again with your rating from 0 to 10 and just see how that's shifted, if at all. Chances are you've noticed a lot of the fear response starting to dissipate. You might have also gotten more in touch with it if you weren't really fully in touch in the beginning. Sometimes that can happen where it gets stimulated a little more once you start to focus on different things and aspects of that stressor. So that can be useful to go through this video and tap through it again and just really focus in on what you're currently feeling. You might have noticed even some other aspects come up for you that I didn't cover in this video. For example, maybe one of the things that you're afraid of is any bleeding that's associated with the needle, or there could be some other different aspects coming up for you. So if you're noticing that happening, you can tap through the video again and just focus on those aspects more so than what I'm actually mentioning in the video. And that can be a helpful way to decrease any kind of fight, flight, or freeze response to those particular aspects of the stressors. So again, it's kind of just more tapping on whatever is coming up for you now. And then you'll notice that the more you tap while exposed to that stimulus, then your fight, flight, or freeze response will start to decrease and you'll start to feel more calm even when exposed to the stimulus. So that's super empowering and really helpful. It's kind of like a way of speeding up the natural desensitization that can take place when we're exposed to that over and over again, but we're just kind of giving it a little bit of a boost and a jump start by stimulating those acupressure points at the same time.